Hi, I'm Rob Boyd, an English photographer from the UK. I decided to create this podcast series talking to international photographers whose work I truly love. I realised I knew nothing about these amazing people apart from their names and their stunning work. So I created a set of hopefully entertaining questions that finds out who they are and what they love. Hi Alex, nice to see you here. So glad after all the technical buggering about we've been having.
It was a bit of a palaver, but that's okay. We're here, so that's good.
Yeah, brilliant. So if you can start with your name and your Instagram name, that'd be amazing, mate.
Well, my name is Alex Spicer, and it's a strange surname, but my parents were from northern Italy. They're migrants. My Instagram goes by snaps_by_Alex. Yeah, and it's been that way for a long time.
Have you got a website?
No, not at the moment. No, I can't really justify one. I don't sell anything, and I don't have a business. I'm not a professional, so at the moment I can't really justify one. But perhaps in the future, I've actually played with that Squarespace setup, and it looks fairly simple. But for now, I'm holding back.
Yeah, it starts off all right, and then they want, like we were saying earlier, more money.
More money, exactly. And photography is a fairly expensive hobby as it is, without adding to more subscriptions,
So where do you live?
I'm Melbourne, Australia, but I actually live in a suburb about, I think, 25 kilometres. It's a crow flies, northeast. And it's completely different to where I go taking my photos. I go to the city. Where I live is extremely green, full of trees, lots of critters. And sometimes at night when I come home, I literally have to look out for kangaroos. So, and look, it's a nice area, but it's very, very quiet compared to where I go looking for photographs.
Yeah, it sounds like we're in a similar situation. It's deer here, not kangaroo. Right. And where are you from originally?
Oh, I'm Melbourne born and bred. But my parents are originally from Trieste. They came out with a lot of the other immigrants, whether they be Italian or Greek or English, back in the 50s when Australia was expanding and building. And yeah, so from a European background.
Yeah, good heritage then.
It is a good heritage. It is, yeah.
So if I visited you, where would you take me to shoot?
Well, where I actually live, the suburb that I live in, is not all that exciting. So I don't think there's anything really here, except some bloke about 80 years ago said to himself, what we need in Eltham is a French country manor house, right? So he built one, and it's actually quite an amazing building. And it looks like it belongs in the south of France. And they have shows there. They have photography shows and art shows and things like that. It's actually an artist colony. People go there. There's people I've seen there that make guitars, violins, and paint and so forth, because this area of Melbourne was known for being like an artist colony, alternative lifestyle. Whereas now it's far more suburban. But in those days, that's what it was known for. But you, as I know that you like colour and light, and we're sort of on the same wavelength, I'd have to take you into the city, and we'd go to Chinatown. Melbourne's not known as a very colourful city by others in Australia. We're known as the Black Skivvy set because we've got a lot of theatres down here and art galleries and things like that. But Chinatown does have its colour, and I find that the Asian Melburnians are more open to wearing colour than your average Melburnian. Like they like to carry very bright umbrellas and things like that, which is really good. And then there's a couple of streets in the northern areas of Melbourne. One's Brunswick Street, one's Smith Street, and they're very grungy, bohemian, if you want to call it that. There's cafes and a few clubs there and laneways with cobblestones and things like that. So I think you'd really enjoy that area.
Yeah, sounds ideal, especially for the kind of stuff we like to shoot. Cool, perfect. So I normally ask, are there any places for tourists? But Melbourne's pretty touristy.
For tourists, as a tourist, yeah, Melbourne's a nice city. It has suffered because of the COVID. Even though COVID was over and done with a while back. We did suffer a bit through that. The shops aren't as oh gee, the city's just not as vibrant as it used to be. It's taking its time to get back up to speed again, because you may have heard from news and things that Melbourne was, I think, or Victoria was locked down for the longest in any part of the world. I think short of Wuhan itself. So yeah, it's still a nice city, but it's nowhere near the size of something you would find, say, I would imagine. Look, I've never been to London, but from what I've seen, it's a very large city. Melbourne's not. Compared to, say, Tokyo, it's literally a pimple. It's quite small, but I think we would find something interesting for anybody that were to come here.
Yeah, brilliant. Perfect answer. So, what's your favorite destination in the world? Where do you love the most?
Look, we went to Japan. I know it's a very cliche thing, because I've listened to your podcast and so many people say Japan, but it's one of those places that we went to a few years ago, and it's not because I had a whim of, I want to go to Japan. I've actually always had a liking for that country and for its people. My first serious job was with Toyota here in Australia, and I met a lot of Japanese people, and I really got to like them, and I want to learn more about them. And we finally get to go there, and it's a beautiful country. The cities are chaos in a sense, but they've worked out a way to make the chaos work. They've managed to somehow meld the chaos with the tranquility. And there's something about their culture that it just works with me. I like it. My mum said I was born in the wrong family, literally, because I had this thing for sushi, and I come up in an Italian family. What's wrong with Italian food, But no, Japan is probably my favorite of places at the moment, other than home. Yeah, and I've been in Europe. Europe's beautiful. I've seen some wonderful cities there.
Yeah, brilliant. Excellent. So, where would you most like to visit in the world?
Now that we've been to Japan, that was wonderful. But to go somewhere different, another cliche would be New York. It's something that I think would be amazing. As I said, Melbourne's not a very big city, and New York looks to be just over the top. The life there, the vibrancy, again, the chaos. We don't really have that here in Melbourne. And it's a photographer's dream. I'm a big fan of Ernst Haas and Leiter, Sol Leiter, and I've never been there, and I sort of conjure up images in my mind of what it actually is through their work. But yeah, that would be like a place where I'd like to go. And I suppose that the complete opposite would be Cuba, because Cuba's sort of stuck in a time capsule. They've got the 1950s cars, and they've got the old buildings, and the people look to be really lovely too. So I think Cuba would be good. And you've got all those colors as well. So,
Yeah, no, perfect choices. Yeah, a complete contrast, but there's both of them. Excellent. So, weird question. If you could time travel, where and when would you visit?
From a photography point of view, and having said that I'm a real fan of Leiter and Ernst Haas, I would have loved to have seen New York back in the 30s and 40s when people wore suits and hats, and ladies wore dresses and gowns and gloves, and you had the bright yellow taxis and the diners and all this sort of thing. I think it would have been a wonderful place to photograph at that time. Even newspapers, people reading a newspaper, not buried with their head in their phone, that would have been good too. And the other thing, I suppose, I would like to go see what my dad's life was like, to see what he was like when he was a kid, because I know that he didn't have an easy life when he grew up. Unfortunately, I didn't ask enough questions whilst he was here, and I would like to go back and see what his life was like back in Trieste and document that.
Yeah, we're all guilty of that. Unfortunately, it's not until you get older and you go, oh, actually, what would he been like at my age?
Exactly. You don't think of these things until you get a little bit older. I should have asked this and I should have asked that. But anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. No, perfect choices. If you could photograph anybody in history, who would you shoot?
I thought about this carefully, and I mean, there's so many people that you could say. First of all, I'm not a portrait guy. I'm not very good at it. But I thought to myself, who would I really like to photograph? And I think one of the people in the world that made probably the most dramatic change to the world would have been Oppenheimer. There's been many famous people and many famous politicians, and they've all done their thing to change the world. But what Oppenheimer did was something that once that genie was out of the bottle, there was no going back. And I think that would have weighed on him. It would have been something that would have been with him for the rest of his life, because he knew what he was doing. He knew that once this was out, there's no going back. And that he knew that once it was out, it's not going to get any better. It will actually get stronger and probably more destructive. So I feel for the man. And he had a very sculpted face with that hat. You know, I think the light would have just worked wonders on him if it was done properly. And then as a complete opposite, Groucho Marx. I don't know why. I think Groucho Marx would be a good one.
Yeah. Excellent. No, good choices. So, this is weird, I know. Tell me a fun fact or a story about this.
I'm not the most exciting of characters, but there's a place in Melbourne that I go to once in a while. If I go during the daytime, it's called the Melbourne Central Shopping Centre. And the reason I go there, it's one of the few places that has a lot of glass and steel. So when the sun comes at a certain time of day, there's a big conical glass ceiling or roof. You get this very strong sunlight bouncing off the steelwork in there, and it's probably one of the only places in the city of Melbourne that sort of does that. I've been kicked out of there so often, I think I'm on first name terms with all the security guards. And one more fact about myself, don't know if you call it a fun fact, but just like you, Rob, I enjoy going out at night. I like taking my photographs at night. I love the neons and the shop fronts. And in my case, there's a reason for it. It's because I actually feel more comfortable working at night. I don't feel very comfortable working during the day. If I go out during the day, I just become overwhelmed by what's available to me to photograph, and I generally come home disappointed. Whereas if I go out at night, my options are cut by at least 75%. So like a moth to a flame, you gravitate towards the neon signs, the shop fronts, the street lights, car headlights, tram lights, the inside lights of a tram or a train, and I enjoy that a lot more. But then hanging around the city at night, and generally hanging around the restaurant areas like Chinatown, there'll be a lot of people there, and a lot of them had a good evening. They've come out of the restaurant after having maybe one or two too many to drink, and they all insist and want their photographs taken. So where I can, I'll do it. There's some amazing people that I meet. I'll take their photo, take their email, and process it and send it to them. Sometimes it just becomes overwhelming. Again, there's too many people in it, and I just can't do it. But having that camera in hand, it sparks curiosity among some people. They'll either do two things. They'll either see the camera and walk the other way, or they'll see the camera and come up and ask what you're doing. And I don't mean that in a nasty way. I mean they'll come up with genuine curiosity. But then I also meet these the homeless people, and they can be amazing to speak to. When I meet them, I really don't want to just say hi and then walk away. So I ask them if they've had a meal for the evening, whether they've had a feed, and more often than not, no, they haven't. So I'll ask them to just wait for a couple of minutes. I'll run off to the nearest 7-Eleven or convenience store, whatever it might be, get a couple of sandwiches and a couple of Cokes or a couple of waters, and then we'll sit and have a sandwich together and we'll talk. And you'd be amazed at what you can actually learn from these people about life in general, about the city. And yes, some of them do have heartbreaking stories, and it's good to be there and just listen. But some of them can be absolutely hilarious, and I've met some comedians down there which are just amazing. So for anybody who's doing street photography or starting out, if you feel comfortable and safe, I would recommend it. Don't ignore these people. Listen to what they have to say, because they have some amazing stories to tell. So I don't know whether you call that a fun fact, but that's what I do when I go out and take photos at night.
Brilliant. So, what's your favorite word?
Favorite word? again, I thought about this heavily, and I thought I'd go all Shakespearean on you and come up with a big word, but no. As I got older, I thought my vocabulary would get better, but not really. And I swear as much as I used to. But I thought the word cool, it's timeless. It's stood the test of time. No matter how many new slang words have come out over the years, cool has always been there. It's something like uh, it's like timeless, like a Beatles tune or a Creedence tune or a Stones tune. It's there. It's always going to be there. So I think that's a good word.
And it's one of those words. Not many have actually lasted. You're right. It has lasted the test of time.
Yeah, every year somebody comes up with a new word to describe fantastic or wonderful or whatever, but cool is always there, and generations of people understand what it means.
Yeah, well spotted and a good choice. Because it's an international podcast. Teach me a new word or a saying I may not know.
Having grown up in an Italian family, I didn't really get to use Australiana as much, and it's not actually used all that much anymore. But there is something that we do down here, which some people find annoying, some don't. We use a thing called the yeah, nah, right? So if you speak to a person, you ask them a question, the first thing they'll do is say yeah, right, as in yes. But then if they want to challenge your proposition, they'll say nah, right? So the yeah, nah is the first two words that come out of their mouth, right, after you've asked them a question. So it's something we do down here, and it's quirky, and I don't mind it. I think it's quite funny. And the other thing that Australians tend to do is we tend to abbreviate everything or chop things short. It's not used all that often, but it used to be like a biscuit would be a bicky, or a present would be a prezi, or something like that, or an electrician would be a sparky, or a carpenter would be a chippy. We have this thing about abbreviating everything, as if it's too much trouble just to say the proper word.
But what I love about Australia as well, everything's to the point. There's no messing about.
No, there is, and we're very similar. Look, we get a lot of our background from you guys, from the English, so our comedy is very similar. Our slang is very similar. So yeah, you can see it wherever you go in this country. It's like the word mate, right? We use it here. They use it over in New Zealand. Obviously, you guys use it, the Irish, the Scottish. It's like universal for us,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I might go either when I speak to people in London or Australia, mate.
It works. Yeah, exactly.
So when did photography click for you? Obviously, excuse the pun, but what moment did you realize you could take a good photo?
Well, to be honest, I suffer from a huge case of imposter syndrome. I never think I'm good enough, even, and I'm not comparing myself to the real greats, the people on Instagram with 300,000 followers, but I always challenge myself and never think that I'm quite up to that standard. And that's just my personality. But there was a time many years ago when a friend of mine asked me to take photographs of her wedding, because it all had to be done very quickly. She needed a photographer, and I helped out, and she loved them. She thought they were absolutely terrific. I never thought twice about them, but she told me that they were wonderful. And at that moment, I thought to myself, well, maybe I could do something with this. I never did, but it gave me that little spark, that maybe I can do this properly. And even today, I enjoy photography immensely. I've told my wife Linda, it's more therapy than it is a hobby for me to get out with a camera and just wander the street. And I have to thank her because she seems to understand this need I have to go out in the middle of the night and take photographs of perfect strangers, which is a strange sort of a hobby, But yeah, I'll always have that little bit of doubt in myself, and both in my day job and in my hobby. Yeah, I'll always underrate myself. And
I think that's the same for most people. Yeah. I mean, in COVID, I shot my son's wedding and I shot my sister-in-law's wedding. And like you say, you absolutely cack yourself thinking, oh my God, what am I taking on? But when you get it back and everything's okay and they're really happy with it, if family like it, then you're cooking.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. As long as they're happy, that's great. And it gives you that little bit of confidence, you know.
So hardest thing now, 3 photos you've taken, your favourite ones, and why you like.
Oh, I took a little set recently, 3 photographs of people walking past. We have a bank here called National Australia Bank. It's got a star as a logo, a red star. And I thought I'll just stand in front of this and I'll see how the light affects them. And they came out really well, and I'm happy with those. It gave me that cinematic thing, the cinematic, the cinematic vibe, and I was really happy with those. And then there's we don't have many neon signs in Melbourne, but there is one over at our main train station called Flinders Street Station. The shop is called City Hatters, and I go there often trying to get something of a person walking past that sign with perhaps an umbrella or something. But one night I went there and this gentleman walked by and he was wearing a hat. He's wearing not a baseball cap or anything, but a proper hat. And I got him just as he was walking under this neon. I was really happy with that one. And then just for a black and white one, there's we also have in the city a crepe stand where they make French crepes, and there's people standing there waiting for their crepes. It's a little stand. It's literally 2-person thing. And I got this little girl there, and she's looking through the countertop of these 2 guys making a crepe, but she hasn't got this look of happiness. She's got this death stare about her as, where the hell's my crepe, and I really like that one too. Yeah.
So that's the great thing about it. It's always moments where, you're going to see them at the time or, what envelops. You just don't know, do you?
No, you don't. And I brought that one home and I didn't think it was going to be a very good photograph. And then I cleaned it up a little bit in Lightroom and I had a look on, I took a look at the expression on her face, and it was just classic. It was a really terrific expression for a girl that's all of 5 years of age, and the way she's looking at these 2 guys, it's great. Yeah.
But that's the thing I love about your work. You do mix it up. You do the odd black and white, when there's details needed. But you're like me. You love color. You love texture. You love reflections. You love all that stuff. So yeah, and you do it really, really well.
Well, thank you for that. Your life's in color, so I try to do it in color, and every now and then I'll try a black and white one. I was watching all these YouTubes and things when I started, and they all say you've got to find your style. You've got to find your style, and I really don't have a style. I work the photograph as it looks best to me.
Yeah, but that's your natural style. That's what it is. You don't feel like you've got a style, but it's because you're just doing it naturally, just doing it without thinking about it.
I feel freer doing it that way. I'd rather do it that way than try to make everything look cinematic, or try to make everything look dramatic, or try to make,
Yeah, if you do that, you never get bored. Yeah, perfect. So, what advice would you give a new photographer?
Don't get too hung up on the YouTubes, on the gear tubes, that sort of thing. Yes, do go there for advice. Be careful who you choose for the advice. Mainly remember, it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to walk out there and create wonderful photographs within the first week of you doing it. And as Bresson said, the first 10,000 photographs are going to be your worst, right? And he was, and it's right. It's true. So big. In the words of Sean Tucker, be kind to yourself. Right? Don't expect too much too soon. Okay, and just enjoy the journey. And if you have to learn anything technical, just get down the exposure triangle. Right? I think that's about as technical as you want to get for now, and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect advice. You can get so bogged down with jargon and yeah, cool, brilliant. So what's next for you? What goals have you got going forward?
Next for me, I'd really need to get stuck into Lightroom more seriously. I'm not very good at it. I spend a lot of time on computers anyway, and sometimes I just don't want to spend any more time on them. But I think I need to brush up on my Lightroom skills, so I have more freedom when I come to edit my photographs, and I understand what I'm doing. At the moment, it's all hit and miss. It's a bit of a guessing game. I'd like to have more purpose to what I'm doing, a better understanding. Also, perhaps I'd like to enter a competition once in a while. Again, that's my wife, Linda. That's her doing. She said you should really try, have a go at it. And we're planning on another trip to Japan next year. So I'm looking forward to that. And for this trip, I will be hopefully booking a photo walk with a photographer who lives there. His name is Lucas Palka. I think he's really underrated. He hasn't got a huge following, but he's a really nice guy, and he does these photo walks around Tokyo. And I'm really looking forward to the possibility of having a photo walk with him.
Yeah, brilliant. And that's the thing. You don't need to have a million likes, or you don't even have to have presence on Instagram to be amazing.
No, I've got his book. His book is terrific. It's called Unseen Tokyo, I think it's called. And it's got some of the works that he's done over the 10 or 11 years he's lived there. He has what they call a cyberpunk style, you know what I mean? Bright lights, Blade Runner sort of. But I really enjoy his work. I think you would too, because of nighttime neons, etc.
Yeah, I'm going to look him up this morning.
Yeah, by all means.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, excellent, brilliant answers. So glad
Thank you very
got
much.
to talk to each other.
I'm really happy this worked out, and I'm extremely chuffed too. I wasn't expecting you to ask me to do this.
No, I mean, your stuff is so similar to what I love. I mean, I love a lot of stuff, but yeah, you do it so well. It's like, it could not just call you up.
Well, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much. Thank you, and congratulations on what you're doing here. It's terrific. It is really is terrific.
Right.
Yeah, I listen to your podcast as much as I can, and you do a terrific job.
Oh, big praise. Appreciate that. No worries. All right. Well, have a great day, and I'll leave you in peace.